joint is a functional joint. It is not a true joint. And with its glide, it is multi-directional. So we have got in our scapulothoracic joint, it goes through retraction, protraction, elevation, depression, upward rotation, and downward rotation. So it is moving in all directions. As we move forward and do repetitively forward movements, we get a lot of protraction, but we also have that retraction, and we tend to go into elevation. A lot of focus is working on the depression because there is so much elevation. But we want the scapulothoracic joint to be able to move freely in all directions. It ties into the function of the shoulder, the neck tension. So this is a lot of movement in this area that we want to get in order for the adjacent joints to be healthy. So we're going to actually do a lot of releases for the scapulothoracic joint. To begin, I'm going to start on the upper trapezius muscle. So this is going to be from the clavicle up into the neck. And so the scapulothoracic joint is going to combine addressing both the sternoclavicular joint and the AC joint. So we're going to do everything by addressing that movement in the scapula. To release the upper trap, I'm going to use a theracane. This is a hard place to get to on your own, so the theracane comes into play with, I think, helping to release this area the best with doing self-releases. So I'm going to apply, there's different trigger points and different areas you can put pressure on this upper trap, but you want to go to the areas that are most tender or tense on you. Apply pressure down, and I pull slightly forward, and then I'm going to tilt my head to the side just to add a stretch while I'm getting pressure into the upper trapezius muscle. And this is going to be a moving stretch. I'm just going to slowly move as I hold the pressure and just release and stretch at the same time. So here I will spend 2 minutes to get both the muscle and the fascia mobilized, going to the other side. So if you want to do both sides, you can. And because the scapula, you want them moving symmetrically, it is a good idea to address both scapula. You may just find that one scapula is not moving if you've got frozen shoulder, or you want to get that scapula moving, you can just do one side. So the upper trapezius is going to be addressed with the release using the theracane. Then I'm going to release my serratus anterior using a foam roller. So the serratus anterior goes underneath the shoulder blade, underneath the scapula, and attaches into the ribs. So I am going to angle, so I'm going to find the scapula, and then I'm going to angle forward so that those muscles are like finger extensions that go right along into those ribs, and I'm going to mobilize them this way. And I want to go slowly, spending 2 minutes releasing the tension and fascia on the serratus anterior. And you'll go up just within the region of the shoulder blade. So you're going to be ribs mainly 5 through 7, and mobilizing the fascia and muscle there. After you release the serratus anterior, you can release both rhomboids and middle trap, and you can do this with a lacrosse ball. You can use a single lacrosse ball. The double lacrosse ball, you can end up mobilizing both at the same time. So I will support my head and neck and go between the shoulder blades slowly and spending 2 minutes here. If there's areas of tension or tenderness, I'll hold that area and then take my arms, and I want to go up over my head and then down. And this is just going to change the muscle tension and allow for release throughout that range. So I can just bring my arms into a flexion. I can also bring them down in a snow angel movement to change the, again, muscle tension relationship where I have pressure. And then I'll mobilize, staying between the shoulder blade. After I release there, so we release the serratus anterior, the upper trap, and the rhomboids mid-trap, I'm going to release the pec minor. That pec minor will end up making the scapula tilt, and so that's that winging and tipping, and we want to reduce that and get the freedom of the pec minor. So the pec minor attaches to the coracoid process, so I don't want to go put pressure on that bone, but find that coracoid process and then come just down close to that. It's usually really tender, and place your lacrosse ball. You can do this on the floor, but you can also easily do this up against a wall and applying pressure right on that pec minor and just going in just an inch side to side, and you'll be coming off of the pec minor, but you want to stay on the tension right in that area. Again, 2 minutes here. Those are going to be the releases for the shoulder blade. So my main releases are going to be my mid, my upper trap, my serratus anterior, and pec minor. I then want to stretch the pec minor with a corner stretch, and my elbows are going to be up a little bit higher than my shoulders to get the pec minor stretch. Holding that for a minute, and I'll come back out of that. I like to switch legs, and then bringing him back into this and holding for another minute. So that's the pec minor stretch. Then what I want to do is strengthen the serratus anterior, and I'll do that with body weight. So I'm going to put my knees under my hips and my hands underneath my shoulders, and then I'm going to round, pushing my hands into the floor, and then I'm going to go the other direction and let my shoulder blades sink to my spine, and then go from this position and pushing all the way into the floor. Now, if this is easy, to add some challenge, I'll go into a plank position and then push and round here, and then drop down, keeping my core so that and then just stretching. You'll feel a stretch between the shoulder blades if you let your shoulder blades relax, and then going through that movement, rounding forward, and then dropping back. The last strengthening exercise is going to be my low and mid trap, and I'm going to bring my arms to my side, and all I'm going to do is squeeze my shoulder blades together, but I'm also going to pull them down. And then I'm going to lift my arms up and hold for 10 counts. And then relax. Shoulder blades back towards the ceiling and down, and lifting my arms and holding for 10 counts. And then relax. And I can do more sets of those, but those are going to be the main two strengthening exercises I do with the scapula. So releasing to get the mobility, and then the pec minor stretch is going to be the main one to reduce that tipping and winging, and then the stabilization of the scapula with the strengthening exercises. And I do like shoulder rolls forward and both backwards, just to encourage and that re-education of the scapulothoracic joint. And that completes the arthrokinematic restoration of the scapulothoracic joint.